The title is Unusual Level of 144,000 Beings. A long time ago, I heard that a friend's daughter went to study at a high school in China. Then she went to study at a community college in the United States. From what I've heard, community colleges are for Americans and are either tuition-free or inexpensive for Americans. Tuition is not exempted for foreigners and is expensive. However, it is cheaper than state universities. Taking these things into consideration, I believe that my friend's daughter went to study abroad at a community college. Recently, I heard that a Korean student has studied at a community college and received a scholarship. They have never given scholarships to foreign students. Anyway, this student have studied very hard. I don't know the exact name of the scholarship, but it is said that he received the scholarship because he was recognized as having an abnormal level. Even in the New Testament, there are 144,000 beings at an abnormal level, which I would like to introduce. 1. Standing with the Lamb Jesus on Mount Zion. 2. They sing a new song before the throne of God and before the four living creatures and the elders. 3. No one can learn this new song except these people. 4. These are the ones who have not defiled themselves with women and are pure. 5. Those who follow the Lamb wherever he goes. 6. Those who were redeemed from the earth and belong to God and the Lamb as first fruits. 7. They are blameless and there is no lie in their mouths. Revelation 14:1-5. And I looked, and lo, a Lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps, and they sang as it were a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but 144,000, which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goes. These were redeemed from among men, being the firstfruits unto God and to the Lamb, and in their mouths was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. These 144,000 people are beings on an abnormal level in the following sense. People we think of as great believers include Noah, Daniel, and Job. God said Noah, Daniel, and Job only saved their own lives through their own righteousness. They cannot even save their children. In other words, they seem to have had children and married wives. Ezekiel 14:20. Though Noah, Daniel, and Job were in it, as I live, says the Lord God, they shall deliver neither son nor daughter. They shall but deliver their own souls by their righteousness. Previously, in Revelation 14:4, the 144,000 people were referred to as pure ones, and if you look at the corresponding word in the original Greek Bible, this is Parthenos, virgin, a man who has not had sexual relations with a woman. In not defiled with women, the woman is a guinea, a mature woman, wife, bride, etc. In other words, the 144,000 people who could not have children are abnormal beings, different from Noah, Daniel, and Job, who were believers who had children. This time, let's look for more phrases related to normal beings. David was traveling with his men and needed food, so he asked for holy bread. The priest said he would give the boys bread if they stayed away from women. 1 Samuel 21, 3-4. Now therefore, what is under thine hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread in mine hand, or what there is present. And the priest answered David and said, There is no common bread under mine hand, but there is hallowed bread. If the young men have kept themselves at least from women. David later had problems with Bathsheba. Paul says that non-special beings should get married to avoid fornication. Paul said that a unique being is possible only if one receives the gift of celibacy from God. 1 Corinthians 7:1-2, 7-9. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. But I would that all men were even as I myself. But every man hath his proper gift of God, one after this manner, and another after that. I say, therefore, to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry. For it is better to marry than to burn. What did Jesus say when he came into the world? It is said that there are born eunuchs, there are eunuchs made by people, and there are eunuchs who become eunuchs themselves. Matthew 19, 10-12. His disciples say unto him, If the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry. But he said unto them, All men cannot receive this saying, save they to whom it is given. For there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men, and there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. The following is a case where a person received help from a eunuch directly or indirectly. In other words, Daniel and others were taken to Babylon and received training, probably a 3-year doctoral course from the master of eunuch. Daniel 1:3-5. And the king spake unto Aspinas, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel, and of the king's seed, and of the princes, children in whom was no blemish, but well favored, and skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge. and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. And the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meat and of the wine which he drank, so nourishing them 3 years, that at the end thereof they might stand before the king. During the training process, the prince of eunuch would have been greatly moved by Daniel and others' faith, vegetarian diet, not drinking wine, good health, understanding of all their books, wisdom and interpretation of Daniel's visions, dreams, etc., guided by God. The prince of eunuch would also have diligently disciplined Daniel and others, taught them various secrets, and helped them. Just as the ancient Chinese historian Sima Qian also wrote a history book after being punished as being a eunuch, the prince of the eunuch's life must have changed after meeting Daniel and others. Daniel 1:17. As for these 4 children, God gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. As a result, Daniel would have been more than the king's Babylon's chief advisor on an abnormal level for a captured captive. Daniel 1:18-21. Now at the end of the days that the king had said he should bring them in, then the prince of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. And the king communed with them, and among them all was found none like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore stood they before the king, and in all matters of wisdom and understanding that the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and the astrologers that were in all his realm. And Daniel continued even unto the first year of King Cyrus. Thank you.